What is going on? It's Alex coming back at you with another video, and today we're going to be breaking down the best and worst performances in college football for week number 6. If you are new, feel free to like, comment, and subscribe. We do this every single week, including mock drafts every single week. So if you guys like that, this is the place for you. Let's get right into this. Of course, there are a ton of people who I did not mention, but I have them listed on my own sheet. So feel free to give guys who did not have a top 14 or bottom 11 performance out, because I have 70 and then like 25. So just keep that in mind as well. Just because someone's not on this list does not mean I think they're a winner. This is just to highlight the biggest. So starting off with our stars of the week. He did it again. Ashton Jeanty. This time, he only got to play a half. And so he didn't really do that well. Oh, wait, he did. Like, listen to this shit. 13 carries, 186 yards, 3 touchdowns, 5 missed tackles forced, and then he got pulled at halftime. I mean, like, come on, man. Like, it's just ridiculous. I mean, his performances, a couple weeks ago, his other performance under 200 yards, he also, if I'm not mistaken, either had a reduced workload or else got pulled at half. This is just, we're talking about someone on Bijan Robinson's level or even better. Like, we're talking about Saquon Barkley, Bijan Robinson, and then Ashton Jeanty. Like, they're all in that mix for the best running back of the 2010s to 2020 range. Of course, I mean, feel free to shout out some other dudes who are on this level. However, not many of them did it to the consistency of Ashton Jeanty. This guy has just been unstoppable. So I've officially moved him as a top 10 projection. If Bijan Robinson can go at 8, Ashton Jeanty can go higher. Then we can talk about someone who was on our list last week, but not a star of the week, so he does not get the beautiful pink star for pretty much having back-to-back star weeks. But Donovan Aziruwaku, he was my most recent study as well. He's a very good player, super high reps, but I do think he needs to work on his consistency quite a bit. However, when you look at the stat sheet, doesn't agree. 9 pressures, 6 defensive stops. He's a little bit technically on the lighter side. I mean, 6'2", I accept somebody being close to 250 and not over. Strength is not an issue in his game. I think he could get a little quicker with his feet, but I really do love what he brings to the table. And someone like Vic Fangio, especially with the Eagles, if you don't want to draft an edge in the first, this is a very, very solid option there in the second. Hello. But at the third star of the week, we have, James Williams? Zero clue who this kid is, but pops out of nowhere. He only has 27 reps in this most recent game versus Northwestern, but 8 pressures, 5 defensive stops. Like, that is unbelievable efficiency. He is kind of the star of the week if you're looking at pure efficiency. This guy has done a phenomenal job, and so got to give the kid a shout out. I mean, again, 27 reps, 8 pressures, 5 defensive stops, 23 pass rushing reps. Like, that is awesome. Shout out to him, and he had the game-winning sack as well. So, love that, but he's actually, I think, if I'm not mistaken, a true sophomore. So, keep that in mind as well. This dude's a beast. And then we got Ricky White. Finally, I mean, I've had him on the ups, on the downs, and finally he's back, and he's on the star of the week. Ricky, I believe, was my number 4 wide receiver coming into this year, and I'm hoping that he gets it back to where that is, and I think he should be, and I think he will be. 11 targets, 10 receptions, 135 yards, and a touchdown. That alone is good enough to at least be in consideration for this list, especially based on the past. But 2 blocked punts. That's awesome. So shout out to Ricky. I mean, making special teams plays as well. That's easily going to get you drafted in the first 2 days. Hopefully, you can get him even as high as the second round. But if any team gets him outside the second, it is a steal. Now let's talk about the rest of the stock up guys. We got AJ Halsey, I think is how you say it. Defensive back out of Houston. 4 targets, 1 reception, 9 yards, 2 interceptions, and a pass breakup and a defensive stop. Very well-rounded performance out of him. Desmond Reed is next, running back out of Pittsburgh. He's been on this list a couple times now, but it wasn't his running performance, because 18 carries for 55 yards sure as hell is not going to get you on this list. Because remember, this is top 14 in the country. It is 11 targets, 11 receptions, 155 yards, and a touchdown as well. Talk about being able to be dynamic. He's 175 pounds, so it's somebody who kind of is going to be more of that scat back type, and he is thriving in that role. Le'Veon Moss next for Texas A&M. 12 carries, 138 yards, 3 touchdowns, 2 targets, 2 receptions, 35 yards as well. That's a very well-rounded performance. I mean, again, very, very good efficiency, over 10 yards per carry and 3 touchdowns, and including some big, big, big plays. That is a big reason why they ended up winning so dominantly. Jashean Davis is next, edge rusher out of Wake Forest. He's somebody who decided to pull out of last draft a little bit later, but 8 pressures, 2 defensive stops. Obviously, when you get anywhere over 6 pressures, you bet your ass you're most likely going to be on this list. If it's 7 or more, it's almost a lock. Continuing on, Anthony Belton. He was, I think, my stock down. I don't know if he was actually just stock down or if he was my dud of the week. But he got kicked out of last game for spitting in some dude's face. Comes back, and I'm like, oh my, let's see how he does. 0 pressures allowed, 90 pass blocking grade. Extreme efficiency from somebody who really needed to prove that, his head's back on straight, and it sure as hell is. So good job by Anthony Belton there. J.J. Roberts, defensive back out of Marshall, is next. 6 targets, 4 receptions, 53 yards. But 4 pass breakups. That's awesome. Again, obviously, as a defensive back, you can affect other players if you are in the vicinity. So it's not necessarily like he was targeted 8 times, allowed 4 receptions, and 4 of them were pass breakups. But regardless, that is pure efficiency right there, man. 4 pass breakups is awesome. I love it. Walter Nolan is next, as pictured below my face. Walter Nolan's a beast, man. He's been turning it on. And this week versus South Carolina, big test for him. 7 pressures, 4 defensive stops. Unbelievably well-balanced game. Somebody who has continued to take steps up time after time after time, making a very strong case to move up into the first round. Jay Higgins is next. Not much went right for Iowa. I watched that game live with my parents, which was really, really fun. But 94 coverage grade. He had a pressure, 6 defensive stops, 2 targets, 2 receptions, 6 yards. Really the only thing that was going very well there for Iowa. Then Syer White. I hope I'm saying that right. Feel free to see. It seems like Syer. That sounds sick regardless. But cornerback out of Nebraska, 9 targets, only 1 reception, 11 yards, an interception, 2 pass breakups, and 2 stops. Someone who is a very short list of the guys who were very heavily considered to be stars of the week. And then ending it off with a familiar name, James Pierce Jr., edge rusher out of Tennessee. 6 pressures, 5 defensive stops. So love that combination right there. 1 target, 1 reception, 13 yards. Now, we had our fun. Let's talk about the dud of the week. Y'all know this is going to hurt me, but again, I keep things 100 with you guys. I'm perfectly fine admitting that guys that I like don't have good performances. And I'll be completely honest with you. He has dropped. He's still right now. We have not fully evaluated this game in all 22, so big asterisk. Based off of his last week's performance, he dropped down to being much closer to all of my other quarterbacks. So again, it is a noticeable drop, and you can see it, I believe, in the mock drafts. You will not see him ranked where he was. But 39 throws, 23 completions, 200 yards, 1 touchdown, 2 interceptions. Not a fan of that stat line right there, but Miller Moss is someone who I really trust to make the big time throws. However, this week, 0 big time throws, 2 turnover-worthy plays. That's just a pitiful performance for somebody that, for me, I was really trying to hope to see with more experience, he would get better and better. It's looking at when he's getting more and more experience and teams get tape on him, his performance is getting worse and worse. So really hoping that he ends up improving. I thought the Michigan game was fine. This past week was not that great. And then this week, even worse. So I'm really praying for a bounce back. You look at guys like Shedeur Sanders who have a bad performance versus Nebraska, they bounce back. And even someone like, y'all know, I'm the guy who's not big on Shedeur Sanders. And Miller Moss, I am certainly losing confidence in him because of the fact that he is not bouncing back. That matters more to me than any stats. Like, can you have a shitty game and then still either play well in it? That's a big one. Or at least, very minimum, bounce back the next week. And so far, that has not happened. But continuing on, we got Tacario Davis. He had a pretty damn good week last week with over 3 pass breakups. It's depending on the source, 3 or 5. Still a great performance nonetheless. But he had a 1 defensive stop this week, but 7 targets, 4 receptions, 107 yards. That's just, unfortunately, when he fails to a pretty large degree. Then you got Bless Harris, tackle out of TCU. He had 3 pressures and a 49 pass blocking grade, so not necessarily great, especially since he transferred there from Florida State, but To be fair, it's not like Florida State's doing well either. Then we have Colin Lacey, wide receiver out of Louisville, transfer, I believe. No, that's Chris Brazel. Forgetting where Colin Lacey ended up transferring from, because I'm pretty sure Brazel was the one from Tulane. Who cares? Honestly, who cares? I think it might have been South Alabama. But 2 targets, 1 reception, 1 yard. Or 2 targets, 2 targets, 1 reception, 1 yard. We're back on track. Just somebody that I was really hoping to take a bigger step up this year. Will Pauling is next, someone who I really, really, really like. He had 2 targets, 0 receptions, and a drop. So he was also on a short list of guys who can compete with Miller Moss for worst performance of the week. Marcus Bowe, obviously friend of the show. He's continuing to allow pressures, so I'm going to try to bring him back on the show so we can discuss it. I want to be able to break it down a little bit more. Purdue offensive tape is just not out there in all 22 at the moment, so praying that we get some of that so we can properly adjust the grade. But obviously someone who I have a lot of confidence in, and a lot of people think he's going to be a guard, so maybe these issues are going to be more pertained to him as a tackle. That would be more so washed away if he kicks to the inside, because there's a lot of benefits to his game. Continuing on, we have David Bailey, edge rusher out of Stanford. He had 7 reps this game, so not that many, but 30 defensive grade, bottom of the team, 1 target, 1 reception, and 11 yards. It's just the fact that on the 7 reps he was on the field, he was absolute dog water. Oscar Delp is next. Again, this dude's on this list every week because he had 1 target and 0 receptions. Like, just do something. I mean, freaking Beck ended up having a really solid week, and this dude can't even get a catch. Then we got Connor Colby, who got backed up into his quarterback, which ended up being a fumble. But he had 45 pass blocking grade, 2 pressures allowed. He did not look good at all. Very athletic, but just does not look like he can handle NFL players. Then you got Jihad Campbell. I had to find somebody from Bama in here. Statistically, performance-wise, they didn't do horrifically on many fronts. I know that, Moore ended up allowing a touchdown, 2 receptions on 2 targets for 55 yards and a touchdown, but Jihad ended up having a 38 defensive grade on top of that. He had a pressure, he had 4 defensive stops. All the guys who I wanted to include here from Bama all got defensive stops, so at least there's that. But 4 targets, 4 receptions, 71 yards. The bottom of the line, you could put a lot of the Bama players there. It's an embarrassment for a number 1 team to lose to Vandy of all teams, especially since Vandy was the one school that denied me early decision. Yeah. Can you imagine that? I mean, I was just sitting there in the library, had my one early decision school as Vanderbilt, and then I got kicked in the nuts. So it does not feel good for Vandy to be the ones being able to beat Alabama. However, good job on them. And then ending this off, Jaden Ott. I have a bet on this dude to get 1,000 yards this year, and if he gets 7 carries for 2 yards and a touchdown every game, I'm going to lose my shit. Get this dude some carries. Get this dude some yards. I mean, for the love of God, for the love of my wallet, please. But obviously, jokes aside, this is somebody that should be a 1,300-yard rusher. So very, very disappointing. But that is going to be the video. Thank you so much for watching. Enjoy your football, and I love you. See you on the far side. Peace.